Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Macon-Bibb County Board of Commissioners. This is our pre-commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, March the 19th, and the time is now 4:30. I'd like to welcome everyone here today. Commissioners, we will have a need to go to executive session today, and we'll talk about that in just a little while. But today, I'd like to go ahead and officially call this meeting to order, and we'll begin our meeting with the approval of the minutes. This is the approval of the minutes from the March the 5th, 2024 meeting. I got a motion to approve. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Carter. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Howell. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to the consent agenda. Item 3A is a appointment to authorities, boards, and committees. This is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Wade Williamson to the Board of Directors for River Edge Behavioral Health Community Service Board. This is their recommendation. Mr. Williamson is here today. If you don't mind, sir, if you'll get behind that microphone there. I hate to put you through this pressure, but Commissioner Lucas always makes me have you talk to say why you want to serve on this board and why you think you'll be a good member of that board. But first, start by saying your name, and then you can proceed accordingly.
Wade Williamson. I'm currently a CFO at Mid-South Community Federal Credit Union. Roy Bibb, our CEO, has kind of reached out and looked for opportunities for the executive team to serve in certain areas. River Edge, the work that they do, he knows me well and has an understanding that the work that they do has some meaning to my heart just from family experience. So
Right.
I thought it was a good opportunity for myself personally, but also as an executive for Mid-South Community Federal Credit Union.
And I know River Edge, because of your close connection and some connections you have there with your family, requested you to be on this seat, and certainly that's something we would accept, and that's why you're on here tonight for a recommendation. So at this time, I entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Lucas. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Thank you for being here tonight, sir.
Excused, I guess.
That's your bank? I don't know if you heard it, but she said something about transferring some money to my account. I'll give you that account in just a little bit. Huh? Thank you, Commissioner Lucas, for that contribution. All right, we're going to move on to item 4A. This is new alcohol beverage licenses. This is Star Macon LLC, Star Liquor, located at 3076 Riverside Drive, Suite 300, Macon, Georgia. As you can see, this is a transfer of ownership out on Riverside Drive. I think most of you are familiar with that site out behind Longhorns. And they met all the legal and statutory requirements, including the certificate of good standing. So at this time, we entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Howell. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Lucas. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and be sent to consent agenda. Item B is a 2023 LLC doing business as Shirling Food Mart, located at 2904 Shirling Drive. And that is also met all the legal and statutory requirements and submitted a good standing letter as well. So legal does recommend approval on that. This time I'll make a motion. Can we get a second? Second for, who was that? Mr. Wilder? Got a motion, got a second by Wilder. Any discussion? Good evening, Commissioner Bronson. How you doing? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item C is Shell Food Mart, located at 4331 Pioneer Avenue. Can you see a picture of that on the screen? This is a Shell Food Mart. This is a transfer of ownership as well. And they meet all the legal and statutory requirements, including the certificate of good standing, and legal does recommend approval of this. This time I entertain a motion for approval. Got a motion by Commissioner Bailey. You have a second? Second by Commissioner Howell. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That's right. I only heard one nay. That's all that matters. That's not a nay. All right. We're going to move on to Pedro's Tacos and Tequila, Macon, located at 4040 Riverside Drive. This is a former Cheddar location. Opened up there in their temporary, and now they met all the legal and statutory requirements to get their alcohol license. At this time, we entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Bronson. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. We're going to move on to grants, which is item 5A. This is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the acceptance of a 2024 Summer Building Opportunities and Out-of-School Time Boost grant for the Georgia Recreation and Park Association in the amount of $45,000 with no local match required. This is to be used by our Macon-Bibb County Parks and Recreation Department to expand and improve summer recreation department programming. This time we entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Lucas. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Watkins. Any further questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 6A is an ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $196,936 from the general fund balance to Tobesofsky Fund, Tobesofsky Dam Improvements line item for the purpose of making improvements to the Lake Tobesofsky Dam. This time we entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Wilder. We have a second. Second by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. What's that? The dam improvement, yes. About time we got that improvement. There you go. Well, I think it certainly takes care of the immediate issue we have right now, but I think perhaps during the SPOS there may be some other requests that are made pursuant to that dam. So it does take care of the immediate needs. So at this time we got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 6B, yes, ma'am.
Residents. I know that there are additional fees that the folks at Tobo pay for certain things out there. Is any of this included?
Get a yearly pass, buy a yearly pass.
They pay a dock fee per place, and it goes into along with our taxes. And this is totally separate from that. This is for the maintenance of that dam.
Yeah, I know, but I was asking about those additional, I knew there were some additional assessments that the property owners pay for the use of the docks and some other things that
Right.
they get to do out there. I was just curious.
No problem.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Brunson, you have a follow-up, sir? Did you have a question, sir, or you just hit your light by mistake?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I know that this is going toward that improvement, but just out of curiosity, since we're on that particular topic, what are we looking at when it boils down to flooding in certain areas, i.e. Spring Street, so heavy flooding in the Shirley Hills areas, heavy flooding in the East Macon area, and I got some areas over Emerson Park. When it boils down to flooding, have we put a plan together to kind of address that as far as levees and whatnot that we may have in there that we can utilize, or is there any discussion in that in the future?
I think that's a totally different conversation, but I think
Sorry.
we can talk about it in the future. It's not related to Tobesofsky Dam, but if we're talking about a levee, you're probably looking at about $100 million project to do a new levee, and certainly there's some immediate needs there that's going to be addressed in cooperation with the collaboration with the Macon Water Authority. Is something I think we'll be looking at as well in the next SPOS.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Watkins, you have a follow-up on that, sir?
Yeah, just the stormwater system that I think is on that interior roads and the dam system and the levee aren't, even though they're both water, aren't really the same problem, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Watkins. We're going to move on to item 6B, which is an ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize a supplemental appropriation an amount of $40,000 from the general fund balance to the Intergovernmental Board of Health line item for the purpose of funding the placement of a state employee to assist citizens who were disenrolled from the Medicare Act at the end of COVID-19 public health emergency. We've got a couple of sponsors on that, Mayor Pro Tem Clark and Commissioner Lucas. Mayor Pro Tem Clark, you want to add something to that, sir?
Yeah, we received a letter from the Commissioner Lucas and I serve on the Board of Health. and Dr. Jimmy Smith is here. But the board was made aware last year, along with the rest of the state, that during the Medicaid redetermination process, which about 3 million, a little less than 3 million Georgians are on Medicaid, and their Medicaid is being reevaluated right now through little over a year long redetermination process. The Department of the Department of Community Health and the Department of Human Services are doing that redetermination process, but it's estimated that roughly 500,000 Georgians could fall through the cracks just due to procedural hangups in the redetermination process. There have already been hundreds of thousands of Georgians that have been disenrolled, and this money is going to fund a position at the Department of Health, or supplement a position at the Department of Health, to make sure that they have staff throughout the rest of the redetermination process. These funds have to be exhausted by May 31st, because that is when the redetermination process ends, and this is a way that the Board of Health is able to stop the bleeding from the Medicaid unwinding, as it's been called. But a lot of this is also due in part because of the short-sightedness of the state of Georgia for not expanding Medicaid in the first place. And so I just ask for y'all's favorable consideration, because we have 2 months to make sure folks are enrolled in Medicaid.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. You want to add anything to that?
Yes, I'd like for Dr. Smith, if you'll allow him to come and just give whatever details in summary.
Good to see you here today. If you don't mind, introduce yourself. And then if you can shed additional light on that, we certainly would appreciate hearing from you today.
Okay, my name is Dr. Jimmy Smith. I serve as the administrator of the Macon-Bibb County Health Department. As Commissioner Clark had said, and as Commissioner Lucas is aware of, Medicaid redetermination has had significant attributes across the state. To date, there are a little over 550,000 Georgians that have been disenrolled from Medicaid. Part of that is those that were enrolled during COVID were allowed to stay on. There are some of those that will come off, but what we have seen is the majority of those that have come off have not been because of a redetermination, but because they have not been able to contact that person, either through letter or phone. At our current facility, more than 80% of the folks that walk through the doors utilize Medicaid as their primary insurance. So when they're taking off of that, we do not deny services based on the ability of anyone to pay. We are going to see those folks. So what happens is, when I'm start looking at the books, the financial books, what I see is I have folks coming in, services being provided, but our income seems to be going down. We certainly want to continue to take care of those folks. This partnership between DHS and DPH will allow for their staff member to be housed in our building. They're going to provide them with the computer. I just need to provide a place. The cost sharing agreement was determined at the state level. So we're putting in part, they're putting in part. That person will be there as we determine someone comes in, their insurance is no longer valid. We will route them to that person to get them signed up again.
Thank you for that information. Any questions or follow-up?
Mention the number of people on the day that you had a session.
Sure.
Over there, the numbers of people.
Sure. We held a redetermination event in conjunction with Peach State Health Plan and a number of other Macon-Bibb organizations. We scheduled it from 11 to 1. We opened our doors at 8 o'clock. At 7:45, I had folks standing outside the door. By 10:45, right before we started, I had about 300 people standing in the lobby. The average age of those folks were a little over 50. About a third of those were there for themselves. The other 2/3 were either there for their children who were at work and couldn't take off, or they were there because their grandchildren had lost their insurance. Though it went till 1 o'clock, all of our vendors stayed. We served the last person at 4:45, but we got to all 500.
Sounds like a busy day. Well, appreciate
Mr.
you bringing this before us
Yeah,
today.
Mr. Mayor, we just want to compliment our Board of Health. Seth and I are over there each month, and we get the reports, and it probably would be, and there are some things that we bring and share with our fellow commissioners, and maybe we need to do a little bit more of that, because there's legislation on health delivery. that goes, that's before the Georgia legislature now, that we all need to be aware of, because we're all dealing with the same folks. The folks who use the health department and those who use private physicians are the same folks that we represent in our district. So we got to be concerned about health care. And I do want to mention, Dr. Smith, I don't know whether you got the latest update, but the legislature, they're getting closer to looking at Medicaid expansion. They want to call it something else. They don't want to call it Obamacare. They rather call it the Affordable Care Act. We don't care what you call it. You can call it whatever.
Thought you were about to say
Call
Trump
it
care.
Kemp care, whatever. But we just want it to be back in place. And we are losing trillions, isn't it trillions, Doctor, to other states. I think Mississippi or one of the other southern states was the last, or Kentucky maybe, was the last one to accept Medicaid expansion. Trillions of our dollars that we should be getting. So I think if we get one more rural hospital that's near closing, and it's gonna mean loss of jobs and less service for some of these folks in the legislature, we may step over that threshold and get Medicaid expansion by whatever name approved. And so that's the latest update. Senator Lucas has been working on that, and that's what I hear about. No matter what time of night he gets in, he's talking Medicaid expansion and certificate of need and all that, and I can just, go to sleep and just think about all that stuff. So y'all got to hear about it too if I do. But I would just encourage us to stay behind this, and this commission took the bold step along with the mayor in approving that resolution on Medicaid to support Medicaid expansion, and it looks like it's gaining some traction, and that is very, very good. So I want to thank the health department for all that they do too over there. Y'all be amazed at the services that are provided. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas, and thank you, you and Mayor Pro Tem for serving on that committee, board, and for bringing things to our attention. This is probably the third or fourth item that they brought to our attention, so we could do a proper resolution for that. So we do have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Lucas. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 6C is an ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $3.7 million from the general fund balance to airport fund capital improvements, infrastructure for the purpose of funding the runway 5-23 extension and building a road to propose new air traffic control location at the Middle Georgia Regional Airport. I'm going to ask our airport director, Mr. Doug Fayor, to come forward, please. You don't mind speaking to that microphone so the folks at home can hear as well. Identify yourself and then explain to us about this $3.7 million, sir.
Yes, sir. Doug Fayor, Director of Aviation. So the $3.7 million, a portion of that is going to cover what we're referring to as Phase 1 of the runway extension. That's this year. Phase 2 of the runway extension is next year. It also covers Phase 2 of the runway. As you know, this is a very healthy project, and in order to fund it, it took numerous years of funding coupled together, and it also took not just from local dollars, but from our entitlement funds and from the FAA discretionary money, which we haven't received any discretionary money from the FAA in over 30 years. So we had to get 2 years of that in order to be able to fund this project. So what we're asking for is the additional funds we need to cover this year's portion of the project and completely covers next year's portion of the project.
And a portion of this is for the road leading up to the new.
Yes, sir.
As well.
Macon, the Middle Georgia Regional Airport, was one of 31 airports selected by the FAA in our region to receive a fully funded brand new air traffic control tower. The only thing that we need to do as our portion is ensure that there is access to the tower and there's the infrastructure to support it, utilities, water, and such. So the 1.5 million gives us the funding to get the new road on the south side of the airport. No longer would you come in down near Smiley's, that entranceway. You would come around the back way, and that's the new entryway, which we also plan to utilize in the future when we construct a commercial terminal. So that's what the 1.5 is for, is the new entry road to the south, which allows us to move forward with the construction of a brand new air traffic control tower, which will also allow for the demo of the existing tower, which will create space for additional expansion in the north of the airport.
Thank you for the explanation. Commissioner Howell?
Yes, sir. As you well know, I certainly understand why we need a different tower. We'll actually have a tower that's actually on the airport instead of looking over the backside of hangars, which will make it a lot safer. And I'm sitting here looking for the email that I got earlier this week that they had, they're not closing runway 5, 2, 3 until next Monday instead of, I think it was scheduled. So I'm assuming that that means we are fixing to see dirt moving and on the expansion. So after 40, almost 50 years of talking about it, starting Monday, the runway will actually be closed for that work. And I want to make sure people understand that this is actually finally here and it's happening. So looking forward to it, because it's still in Miss Lucas's district right now, but it'll be in mine soon.
You just can't wait,
saw
can you?
that.
Just can't wait.
He's been trying to put it off till it got his district.
He's been
gonna
trying
do
to take it, yeah.
that. So certainly it's a worthy project, and at the same time, I understand we recently had an RFP out for the demolition of the previous FBO, and I think that's been awarded, and we can expect that to start coming down soon, sir?
It has not been awarded yet.
Okay.
We did the pre-construction, or excuse me, the pre-bid meeting, and a contractor will be selected in the very near future, so we can move forward with the demo.
Well, thank you for that. At this time, we'd entertain a motion for approval of item 6C. Commissioner Howell got your motion. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Wilder. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Thank you for being here, Mr. Farr.
Thank you.
Item 7A, this deals with purchase and sale agreements. 7A is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Sellers Contracting Services to perform sidewalk construction along some road named Pine Hill Drive, that I think maybe in somebody else's district, at a cost of Macon-Bibb County of $679,998.62 to be paid from 2018 SPOS funds for road work. Mr. Lucas, I'm sure you want to say something about that. No?
It's been a long time. This has been approved a long time. You just, but there was a lot of work to be done. And this is that little short street runs between Shirling Drive and New Clinton Road. And the school, you've heard me say this before, the school system stopped letting buses go down that street because it's just not enough room for anything down there. And so I'm just glad to see that this is finally getting done. I appreciate everybody's support.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. I'll take that as a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner, was that Bronson? Commissioner Bronson? I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item 7B is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a janitorial service agreement with Executive Cleaning, Inc. to perform janitorial services for Macon-Bibb County facilities to be paid from the Facilities Management Department budget. Custodial contract labor, that's a lot. I got a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Howell, second by Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Commissioner Watkins?
I was looking for a little bit more on the amount and what they're cleaning.
We can bring it forward. I think these are some of the new areas we're transferring to the mall,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. I'm Assistant County Attorney Frank Howard, and the list of the buildings which will be serviced under this contract is included in Exhibit A on page 7 of Exhibit A.
Okay, what buildings?
The buildings are the Train Center, Parks and Beautification, Planning and Zoning, Safe Built, the Board of Elections, the library, the courts, included the ones at the Macon Mall, the community room at the Macon Mall, the regional commission area at the Macon Mall, solid waste offices, and the Bibb County Sheriff's Office Investigative Center.
No, okay, all of those are at the mall?
No.
Not everything listed is at the mall.
Okay, and the amount?
The total annual price will be $179,100.
And this is included in the rent, and that's one reason we're doing all the companies together to get a better price, but it's actually worked through the rent of each one of those places. So we do have a motion and a second. I think we began to take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and be sent to consent agenda. Item C is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Evergreen Lawn Garden Center, Inc., in amount not to exceed $100,000 for assistance planting approximately 450 new trees at 7 sites located across Macon-Bibb County to be paid from the Parks and Beautification Departmental Budget Contractual Services. Got a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Brunson moves, Mayor Pro Tem second. Any particular questions on this item? I think we talked about this before, but this is actually the installation of the trees. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Going to move on to additions or changes of the Macon-Bibb County Code. This is the ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to amend Division 15 of Article 2, Chapter 7 of the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances to amend the sidewalk cafe permitting process. And we have attorneys going to speak on that. Also have Mr. Alec Morrison here that may be able to fill in if we need to as well. But once again, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about this and the need for the change.
Absolutely. So the 30,000-foot view on this new ordinance is that it's going to move enforcement from the UDA, Urban Development Authority, to code enforcement. And it's also going to put the license period in line with the alcohol license. So when permittees are seeking a sidewalk cafe permit, they will go to the tax commissioner's office at the same time at which they go to submit their alcohol license application or renewal, and they will file for their sidewalk cafe permit to run from January 1st to December 31st of each year. This ordinance will not go into effect until September 1st, when the initial application process will open and licenses will be required as of January 1st, 2025. So there's plenty of time for businesses to adapt to these new rules.
I think one of the needs, just Commissioner, one of the needs for this is we've had it in Urban Development Authority with no real enforcement mechanism. And what we have noticed downtown is we've got all these cafes popping up, but no one's getting a license, and it's hard to make sure that we manage those to make sure they're consistent, that they're not blocking the aisles. We have a lot of liability issues for people that are disabled needing to access through that. People need to walk through these areas, and we've had a lot of inconsistencies on how some of the furniture may look and the obstruction of sidewalks. So we want to make sure we put that in an area that has some enforcement mechanism. There will be an educational period out there as well, and this would go on with the normal license. Also, you're supposed to purchase for a nominal fee, a license to have an outdoor cafe, because with some restrictions on alcohol and things of that nature. And certainly no one has been purchasing those like they're supposed to over a period of time, and it's other revenue that Bibb County has not been able to use. Commissioner Jones, I'll hear from you, sir.
Yes, sir. Counselor, when did the date start? September 1st, 24 or 25?
So the application period will open September 1st, 2024.
Okay.
Licenses will be required as of January 1st, 2025.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Commissioner Bronson?
Just out of curiosity, so we know we have a lot of businesses that are downtown that already are established, right, with certain areas, right? And we also are aware that sidewalks varies in size and length and so forth in certain areas. How does that play out when we say that we're putting out a policy that's kind of across the board? How does that look, when it boils down to that?
Absolutely. And so the provisions in here set different standards depending on the width of the sidewalk.
Okay.
So you need to have a sidewalk that's at least 12 feet wide to even be able to have a sidewalk cafe on one side of the sidewalk and at least 19 feet wide on the other side of the sidewalk. And then there's other provisions in here that state you can't have, you need to have a path of ingress egress for the members of the public, pedestrians, of at least 6 feet wide, regardless of how your sidewalk cafe is set up. And that path needs to be contiguous between different sidewalk cafes.
Okay, so let's say hypothetically that we have a business that is already quote unquote established, right? And you really can't shift to the left or shift to the right. Or will they be considered grandfathered in when it boils down to this policy being initiated, or is it just one stone, couple birds, or?
There's a legacy provision in here that'll protect businesses such as the Rookery. They have their fenced-in area. That will be protected. However, if there is a situation where, and I have not seen this personally walking through downtown, but if there is a situation where one sidewalk cafe does not line up and provide a path of ingress egress that's compatible with the one next door, the sidewalk cafe that applies for its permit first will have priority to set their sidewalk cafe, and the sidewalk cafe that applies second will then have to adjust their sidewalk cafe to make sure there's a safe egressable, ingressable path along the sidewalk between the two sidewalk cafes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lucas?
Thank you. I'm glad to see this be revisited because good while back, we used to approve each one of these individually. And so we got a chance to kind of know who had, the sidewalk seating and all of that. Now you just have to kind of ride through and look. But I have noticed that there are a number of sidewalks that are obstructed that people can't comfortably move through, and I knew that needed to be changed. So I'm glad to see this. What is the how do you compute, or how will code enforcement how will you compute the cost on of the space that a restaurant takes up out there? Because basically we're providing additional space for their customers.
It's going to be the
You know,
same, it's going to
so-
be the same for every business as far as the license figure that you've got there. Yeah, it's $150 per year.
Or all of that space for the whole, having access to the sidewalk and doubling the space of the,
Yes, ma'am. It's $150 a year to have a sidewalk cafe. Right now, nobody's paying it. Out of all the sidewalk cafes we have downtown, probably one or two are actually applying for the licenses. And the problem is they realize that it's not going to be enforced. But now we have an enforcement department that can do that. They'll be able to do that. So just like we do the alcohol licenses and the cameras and stuff like that, code enforcement can do that as well while they're doing the inspections downtown, just to make sure that they meet the guidelines before the sidewalk cafe has been approved. They'll pay,
yeah,
they'll pay
I
the
just
money.
think that's real cheap for having, for doubling, in some cases, doubling the space that you have for customers and doubling your earning capacity. But anyway, maybe that's something to review with the cost later on, but I'm glad to see that. What, is there anything in there concerning animals? Y'all, before y'all all get, I'm just curious.
There's no provisions in this sidewalk cafe ordinance regarding animals.
Okay, that's an area, I don't, I know people love their little Fifi and, Moo Moo and whomever else. whatever they call their pet. And I mean, I think they're cute too, but not while I'm eating. And I know there are provisions, that cover service um, animals. I know that part. But people don't like um, eating and then somebody's pets are all over them. So you sure it's not addressed at all in
It's not addressed in this particular ordinance.
We do have other ordinances. I believe it's Chapter 5 is our animals ordinance for Macon-Bibb County, and there are ordinances therein that provide that one has to properly control their dog, or that's a.
and clean up?
Yes.
Uh-huh. See, that's where I'm going with this. I think maybe this needs to be revisited at some point to kind of add a little, bring it up to date, because pets are not appropriate everywhere. And I just think where you have food service, it's one of those areas where there have to be some restrictions. I'm just saying, I'm not proposing to change right now. But I do think we need to address that at some point, because there are a lot of people who feel like I do. I like pets too, and I know people love their animals, but I don't want to eat uh, with them at the table with me. So that's just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. I'm a pet lover, by the way, for those of you at home.
I am too. I said that, but I don't want to eat with them.
I got you. Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Clark?
Are there, I know that there's a legacy provision in this that, that lets current folks that are doing this carry on, but are there folks now that are out of compliance with the way that this law would be written now downtown?
Not that I've seen, but
Okay.
I haven't gone out with like a ruler or anything to make sure that 6-foot measurement isn't in compliance, or that it's not, you know, nothing seems aggressively out of compliance except some fencing which is protected by the legacy clause.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we entertain a motion for approval. A motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Bronson. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. We got three, I'm sorry.
I might have missed it, but how much was if someone is out of compliance, the fine or the penalty is what?
The first fine is up to $400 in the discretion of the municipal court. Subsequent fines are up to $800 again at the discretion of the municipal court. And the license can be suspended and revoked for up to 12 months.
And that's what only the sidewalk permit is in question, or can that also affect alcohol or other licensing within their establishment?
The alcohol code has its own licensing restrictions and everything, so it would be anything that occurs out on the sidewalk cafe. The alcohol code would govern whether or not that's a violation, which warrants a revocation of that license. There's nothing in the sidewalk ordinance, cafe ordinance, that directly controls alcohol violations.
Okay.
Commissioner Bronson, do you have a follow-up, sir?
Yeah, just out of curiosity. And I hope I
Say
don't
curiosity one more time.
My apologies.
That's a new word.
Yeah, that's the new word for 2024, right? Hope I don't get in trouble for this one. So, as a person that enjoys going downtown, right? Is there anything in the ordinance that states music, right? When we start talking about sidewalks and so forth, we know we have people that are living upstairs. Is there anything that governs that piece of it that is not already attached to a policy or rule that deals with the amplified music and so forth?
That would be controlled under Chapter 15 nuisances of our local code.
Okay.
So the sidewalk cafe doesn't have any specific language. There's other code chapters which address that issue to protect the persons who live in the vicinity of a sidewalk cafe.
Okay. So in saying that, when we do the educational piece in regards to the new rules being put in place for the sidewalk cafe, recommendation, if I may, we should include that piece of it when we do the talk. So that way it's clear across the board. If I wanted to do a cafe, how far out can I come out, right? What are my fees? What are my do's and don'ts? How much music can I have? Can I have little Patsy Sue with me, right? What does that look like? I love you, Elaine. what, what does that look like for a business owner downtown? And also, when it boils down to the education of our personnel that are living downtown, right? So that way we're all on the same page when it boils down to it. I just want to make sure that we're being effective in this new deal, but we're also being transparent across the board.
Duly noted. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Commissioner.
Mr. Watkins.
That's cute. Commissioner Bronson think there's gonna be an educational campaign meeting about this. But to his point on noise, and I'm stop me once I go too far. Right. So a noise ordinance. If someone is yelling on the street, 3 o'clock in the PM, banging on a pan in the middle of the sidewalk, what are they violating? Are they violating anything in our ordinance?
I believe off the top of my head, that's chapter 15. I believe that'd be 15-1, covers noise violations.
So, and again, I know there's a rule, if you have a permit, you can play drums and make music on the sidewalk with a permit. But, and help me out, because it is a problem that some of the downtown businesses are running into, where there's an unruly person on the street, they're not playing music, they could actually be saying some forms of hate speech to people on our sidewalks, and they're doing it consistently. And one of the things I think they're using is the way that our noise ordinance reads is that long as they're done before 10 p.m. or 9 p.m., that it's okay for them. It seems as though there's an interpretation that our noise ordinance gives you right to make as much noise as you want to before 9 or 10 p.m. Is that correct? Help me out if that interpretation is wrong.
I'll let Attorney McNeil answer that question for you.
So generally, Commissioner, the noise ordinance regulates amplified sound as opposed to someone that's just screaming and shouting, which I think was your first example that you mentioned. But you've kind of touched upon an issue that, just like the sidewalk cafes, this is something that has been sort of inconsistently managed and enforced. And especially before we had a code enforcement department that was as developed as the one we have now. And so that is an area that we're continuing to look at, and maybe back in coming months with an update to the noise ordinance provisions as well, to sort of get that back onto a pattern of consistent enforcement, a pattern of understood mutual expectations between us and the businesses, especially in the central business district.
Or individuals on the sidewalk screaming.
Thank you. I look forward to that update. I think most of the business community would as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark.
I just wanted to echo Commissioner Watkins on this and say that I'd love to help draft that or get it before the body sooner rather than later, because I've received similar complaints, I believe, that Commissioner Watkins has had about people being aggressive and to patrons in downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Okay, we're going to move on to the most important item, streetlights. We have 3 denials on the plate tonight. That's why they're before you. The first one is the resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission. It set the recommendations of facilities management to deny the request for installation of additional streetlights at 218 Wesley Joe Court and other nearby locations described herein in Article 10, Chapter 9 of the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances. I believe the reason for the denial on this particular one is because there's no poles. Is that correct? Who's had on that? Okay. Come on, Mr. Frank. How you doing? This is item A. This is the Wesley Joe Court denial for streetlights.
So there are 2 reasons to deny streetlights in accordance with our code. The first is there's no poles. The utilities are underground.
That's correct.
And that's the circumstance with this request.
Okay.
There's nowhere to put the lights.
And we do have a process for those who want to do that, and we've had, I know Mr. Howell and his district has had someone go through that process at their expense to get the poles, and then we did the street lights. So that's the reason for the denial here. This time I entertain a motion to follow the recommendation of council on that denial. I'll make that motion. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Question, has someone notified them yet? I think this is what this is.
I believe facilities maintenance has notified them that the recommendation is denial, but we're waiting for the commission to make a determination before we give them a final answer.
I mean, I remember talking to these people several months ago, and one of the things I did mention to them that this would probably come into play if there was no poles there. Right.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes, sir. I think it would be helpful if our good friends at facilities would have had somebody here. And I'm crazy about those folks, but to explain each and especially since we've got 3 items that are denying.
So they've conveyed it to our attorneys. I think they can give the sufficient information, but in the event they don't, we could have them here the next time. But this particular one seemed to be a pretty easy call with no polls being there. Commissioner Watkins?
I was curious because I noticed a lot of the newer subdivisions are built with the utilities underground, and I've traveled a few of them at night, and I've noticed it is quite a pitch black situation in some spots in those subdivisions. What if, and I guess for the most part people buy into that, and that may be part of the rural suburban living that people enjoy, but what if that is unsatisfactory and they notice after the fact? Is there a cost associated, or what is a potential remedy outside of us just telling them no? Are we able to, if they had the money or the community association, HOA was involved, is there a cost that we can do it for, or is it still just a no, I guess?
Commissioner Howell, you want to talk about your experience?
Yeah, I'll address it in the one that we approved about a year ago now, in South Bibb. They were a fairly new subdivision that had underground power, and the power is out there, and Georgia Power is usually happy to come out and make provisions to get the power. It's just the cost of the poles. And in our particular case, this particular case, the HOA got together, decided which poles they wanted to buy, and I think it ended up costing everybody in the subdivision about $300 a piece, but we put up 35 different lights, I think, and then we covered our Georgia Power covered the cost of everything else, and we of course pay in the electricity. So there are provisions there in newer neighborhoods. It's just a matter of getting the poles bought.
If I may, just in follow up there, is it possible rather than the flat out denial that we can table with the possibility of, I guess, a follow up conversation on if that's a route that they want to go? And I don't know, maybe if facilities saying they've already done that, but to me that would be, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to, we can vote on it, but if they decide they want to do the polls, we can activate it and do the lights for them.
That is one way to handle it. The other way would, I mean, if a denial, these applications are 1 to 3 pages each. There's not a lot of information, so they could reapply a second time.
Yeah.
That's what we.
Yeah, how did you do it last time? I'm sorry.
Mr. Hall.
That's what we did last time. We denied it with the subdivision I'm talking about to start with. Then when they came, but they had to get a plan together. And then once they did, of course, we were happy to do it. But they had to have a plan, so.
There were several that there were recommendations to deny, and I think we tabled, but I don't think we ever got information back as to.
There's a couple probably coming back to you. A couple of those, we looked at them again and went ahead and did them, so we wouldn't have to bring it back for you.
Because, you know, we were talking about that, they're not riding at night to check and see how dark it is, and I can't see us denying putting it in until we go at night and just see how dark it is, because a lot of neighborhoods are extremely dark. And so I would agree with kind of tabling, and I thought there was gonna be, you know, a review and then a report back to us as to some recommendations as to how to deal with that.
In the event that would deny it, we would bring it back off the table and vote on it again. But in those ones that we worked out ahead of time, we went ahead and approved those, so they don't come back before commission. So we talked to Rob Riles about going out there. They did go out there at night to look at these locations. One in particular I remember was near a cul-de-sac where they had already had one on the pole, and they wanted one on the very next pole within a short distance. But on those, if we continue to deny them, they'll come back before the commission to make a decision on that. But if you have one here that you either table, and we can later approve that through facilities by going out there at night and finding out that it was dark out there, then we go ahead and approve that and it doesn't come back before commission. There'll be no triggering event to do that when we approve them.
Okay, if we table, that's just saying that we're neither denying or, you know, we're not going against anybody's recommendation. We're simply wanting that extra step. So I would like to table.
This would be in my district, in fact. I wish I'd have noticed this before now, but that it was my district. But I remember talking to these people, and I would rather see it tabled and give them the opportunity to.
I second that.
Yeah, non-debatable motion. We've got a motion and a second to table. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, this item is tabled. We're going to move on to item B, which is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission accepting the recommendation of facilities to deny requests for the installation of streetlights at 702 Bright Street pursuant to Article 10, Chapter 29. And what was the reason for this one?
This one is the second reason, is there's adequate light saturation, and the last page of the response by facilities maintenance shows the position of existing street lights and the lot where the request was made.
Okay, we're going to entertain a motion to table this one. Y'all want to table? I'm not going to, if we don't have facilities here and you're going to ask those same questions.
So just real quick, go back to the picture on the screen, because like that picture and that pole doesn't have a light on it, and I'm just looking at the one picture y'all put here, so. And I don't see, unless like the other light is like directly behind from where the picture that he took.
It's in the daytime too.
Like there's no light, and that seems like it's covering more than 100 yards worth of street. Are we up? Am I wrong?
I make a motion to table. We have a second.
Second.
There's no sense of having this conversation if we know it's going to be tabled, because the inadequate lighting is going to be something they have to explain to you in person, and that's, he gave you the basis, so. I think that we do have a second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor of table, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Same thing on a resolution of Macon-Bibb County accepting the recommendation of the streetlights. This is at Barrington Hall, and what's the reason for that one?
This one is because there's no poles at this location.
Right.
Before you table,
It is dark out there.
please,
Go ahead, sir.
from Rob Riles. He says it's based on the standard identified in the Macon-Bibb County streetlight ordinance that we have to go by, and we have done so countywide, consistently without bias. Next one, he says the spacing is typically no closer than every other Georgia Power or other utility provider's pole, and that varies, but it is typically around 100 to 150 yards. But that's the ordinance they go by.
Thank you for that. On these poles, the only thing, you can table, there's no poles there, but I think if you deny it and you get it back to them as a denial, then it starts the process and it's on our table. If this thing is going to die on the table and you're not going to see it again if you just table it. I think it's a triggering event. You deny it back to them on explanation on why it's denied, and then they can decide whether or not they want to put the plan together to do the poles. And that's why I would caution you on denying it, because it's going to die on the table. It's just going to sit out there in la-la land. It's not going to get back for you.
Mr. Mayor, it shouldn't. It shouldn't, though, because when we tabled those others, the understanding was that that would allow facilities to maybe start looking at another way of judging or assessing whether there was adequate light or not in an area. That was why we tabled the others.
Yeah, I agree on that.
And so I think just, directing whomever it is that's in charge of that to go ahead and deal with the issue. And then we apply the new regulations, which it looks like there needs to be some additional test as to whether there's enough light or not, or whether it's too dark. So I would just like to give the administration and the appropriate department the time to work on this and include these denials here to determine whether we actually should deny. The other thing, Mr. Mayor, is that we're talking pedestrian safety. We had pedestrian safety meeting this morning, and we've got a new pedestrian safety director, Weston Stroud. And some of these kinds of things could work through traffic engineering as well to come up with another test as to whether we should deny these lights. Because, and people are paying this $100 fine, and isn't that going to pedestrian safety and some of that going
It's not a fine,
to safety?
not a fine or a fee.
Didn't we say that money was gonna be going to bring about greater safety in the community?
No.
Talking about traffic cameras?
No. You talking about $100 fee for what?
Speeding through school zones?
Yeah, didn't we
people
say
do that?
that money was going to
Public
safety?
safety, yes, ma'am, public safety.
Well, lighting is safety. Lighting is a part of it, and I think that's one of the things that we're gonna lose if we tell citizens that we're not going to at least put that other step in place to determine whether, in fact, they need additional lighting or not. I think that's the least we can do. So I want us to get some information back as to what else facilities can do in order to make that determination, because what they're basically going off of is what's in the book, what's on the books now. But do we need to add something else is my question. And that was what was supposed to be answered with that last round of tables.
We'll be happy to bring Rob Riles back here. I think he's gonna say the same exact thing he said the previous two times, but I do believe you need to treat them differently than ones that have no poles. If there's a question in his mind about having sufficient light and whatever the number of yards is to have light, and of course, that's something I think would be a question for him, and he can either convince you or not convince you, and you can vote accordingly. However, I still believe on the ones that have no poles, that's a pretty easy response back to them to determine whether or not they want to do these polls. But we'll move on. Commissioner Howell had you next, sir.
Yeah, I was just gonna go back to what we did at Chandler Downs. And if you guys remember, after we got through this, the whole subdivision showed up. In fact, they showed up and showed out for me the other day. But as a practical matter, if we table it, how many meetings is it before it's gone anyway? Is it a couple meetings? I know it took Chandler Downs, it took those guys it took them at least 2 months to get the commitments and get the money, and I'm afraid that it would die as because it would be tabled anyway. So they really, that was the best thing for that subdivision, was to deny it, and we explained to them why we denied it. They were on board the whole time, and I think that, until they decide what they're gonna do about the polls, is tabled and it'll die anyway. I don't have a dog in the fight here. I'm just saying that it worked really good with that subdivision a year ago.
Commissioner Jones?
So does Barrington Hall have the poles?
They do not.
They do not have the poles. Okay. Well, then it sounds like we need to treat it just like they did Chandler Downs and let their their homeowners association, see if they want to come up with money for the poles. The tower's got to be there.
But people are
Commissioner Bronson,
paying splosh money.
Mr. Bronson,
Hey,
you have a light on, sir?
so what I was gonna get at was for Bright Street was that it comes off a Telfair, right? And I've Googled.
Commissioner Bronson, we've already tabled,
Yeah,
Bright Street.
that's the thing. I
So it's
kinda
off the
hate that we
table. I'd like to
did.
move on to C. You got an opinion on the ones with no poles?
No, not
Barrington
at all.
Hall.
Not at
Commissioner
all.
Watkins, I'll back with you, sir.
Yeah, so
Back over.
I understand your distinction between the two and the solutions, but and I think the perspective of the commission was a little different from yours, and that we were, or at least myself was thinking that the homeowners association or relevant parties would be notified because of the table and get followed up. And that seems to be counter to your thought of they would definitely get a follow-up correspondence from facilities in the event of a denial, but the follow-up is either less likely or unlikely with the tabling.
Yes, sir.
Is there, in this instance, can we table and still make sure we follow up with the reason why? Or does that violate one of our policies? 'Cause I think that's the intent of the commission, to inform them, but
You could postpone to a time definite instead of just tabling and
let's do
set
that.
the date at which it'll be reviewed
Postpone
again.
till
all
time.
right.
I don't mind you tabling. It doesn't matter to me. I just want you to know the quicker way is to deny it, and you'll know really quick whether they want to go through the process or not, and we can move on to the next ones. But on the ones without poles,
And I'll defer to whoever's district this is in, but.
Barrington Hall. It's presently,
Right now, it's kind of both.
it's in Wilder and Jones.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Jones,
More going on.
you have a preference on this, sir?
I want to ask the question, did this come from individuals or the homeowners association, the request?
This was submitted by, Susan Hardy, and she is representing herself to be the Tivoli Place HOA president. So it looks like she intends to, she intended to
She's the
file this
HOA
application.
president?
Correct. She represented herself as the HOA president in her application.
It is dark out there too now. You run through the curves.
I don't doubt. I think when you have these subdivisions, that's something they take in consideration. A lot of people don't want the poles out there, and that's probably why.
And how many poles does that entail, Counselor?
Could you rephrase your question?
How many poles would that entail at Barrington Hall, on Barrington Hall Drive?
That would be a question for facilities maintenance to answer.
Okay. So Mayor, you're saying we'll get a quicker response, or we keep it on the agenda in a more timely manner if we deny it versus?
I think if you deny with explanation, you'll get some resolution to it a lot quicker. My opinion. I don't mind if you table it, and we can send a letter telling them it was tabled, but the problem when it's tabled, there's no decision to tell them.
All right, I'll make a motion to table it with the explanation.
Okay.
And not table it, but to deny it with the explanation.
Yeah, got a motion by Commissioner
many
Jones. Do we have a
choices
second on that motion?
So
Ask
what-
him one more time.
Which one? do you- What's your?
Motion is to deny it with the explanation is you don't have the poles.
Right.
Are you,
That's
the
what we'll go on.
association, ready to come up with the money for the poles? And if you are, then bring it back. Let's get it done like they did in Chandler Downs.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second on that motion. Second by Ms. Bailey. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of Commissioner Jones, whose district it is, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right. Motion passes. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to item 10A.
So
road
what
now.
are we doing? What?
We're going to deny it and let them know the reason for the denial, so if they want to do the polls, they come back for us. Yes, ma'am, if they want to do it, we will. Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason to bring it back before you if they don't do the polls. All right. I want y'all to know we had pre-commission with my staff, and I predicted that it would take longer on these lights, and it did to spend about $8 million over there, so I won the bet. 10A, a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing a refund of ad valorem taxes to Eagle Nation Aviation LLC. That information should have been in your package, but I'll have Attorney McNeil give you a brief update, and we'll take a vote, and we'll be in executive session in just a moment.
I was just going to say, we have Lauren Schultz here, who's the specialty counsel that represents us on the Board of Tax Assessors, to explain what's going on.
Thank you, Ms. Schultz, for being here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. So this is Eagle Nation Aviation LLC has requested a refund portion of their taxes under 485380, which allows a taxpayer to come to the commission or governing body to request a refund when the taxes have either been illegally or erroneously assessed, meaning it's a clerical error that has occurred on the behalf here. There was a clerical error on their application and in the processing of it by the tax assessors with the book value. They had purchased it 8 months ahead of time for about 1.4 million, but it was assessed at 2.2 million. The Board of Tax Assessors has reviewed this and does believe that the fair market value as of January 1st, 2023 is the 1.4 million. And would just make the recommendation that the board, the commission actually approve this refund action, at which point it'll go to the tax commissioner to issue the refund.
Thank you for that explanation. This time, I entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Howell and Wilder. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be on the consent agenda. Thank you for being here, waiting patiently. We do have a need to go into executive session for consultation with the county attorney or other legal counsel to discuss pending and potential litigation, administrative proceedings, property, and all other judicial actions allowed by law. Can I get a motion to approve? Motion to go into executive session. I got a second. Second by Commissioner Brunson. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Now in executive session. Get a motion to come out of executive session? Motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive session. Out of executive session, and ladies and gentlemen, we do have one item that I request to be added to the agenda. It's a motion to add the item ordinance of Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to sign such documents as necessary to purchase real property totaling 1.50 acres. Can I get a motion to add this to the agenda? Motion by Commissioner Water. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Howell. All those in favor of adding this to the agenda, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is now added to the agenda. The ordinance is now added to the agenda. This is an ordinance of Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to sign such documents as necessary to purchase real property totaling 1.50 acres, more or less, at a cost not to exceed $30,000, and to appropriate such funds from the general fund and for all of the lawful purposes. This is the property immediate adjacent to the property we bought between MLK and Carolyn Creighton Park just a few weeks ago. This time, I entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Wilder, second by Commissioner Bronson. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to the consent agenda and be identified as item R. At this time, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and we'll begin our next regularly scheduled meeting that was set to begin at 6 o'clock. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you will, we'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024, and the time is now 6:10. This is our Board of County Commissioners regular meeting. I'd like to officially welcome everyone here, and we'll begin our meeting like we always do, and that is with the prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, we're going to ask Mr. Brandon Toll, Director of Campus Ministry for Wesleyan of Macon, to come forward to the microphone there, sir. If you'll speak in that microphone and lead the prayer, those of you can and will, please stand and bow your heads, and it'll be followed by the pledge.
Let's pray together. Oh God, we thank you for this wonderful evening, for this opportunity to once again consider the things in front of our great city and all of the things that are facing our county together. God, we honor you because you, oh God, know more than we every need, every desire, every outcome possible. So tonight, God, we lean on you. We ask for your wisdom, your ability to see beyond ourselves and into situations that otherwise we could not. We ask for your creativity in facing the challenges in front of us, and God, mapping out a future for our great town and the people therein that includes the best possible outcomes for them. God, we ask for a heart with your love. So when we look outside and we see this beautiful space that you've given us in this creation to care for, and we see these wonderful people, we are inspired to do the best that we can in every way to show goodness and mercy and kindness and lean on one another for the future that we have together. God, we pray specifically for those here, for the people whom have been elected and placed into positions of leadership. God, we pray that you guide them in their thoughts and their words, in their approach and how they come together to do great things for our city. We pray for the inspiration of the solutions that are brought forward. God, we pray for the people who are here to speak about the concerns that they have, to bring to light, God, the opportunities that otherwise we would not know about. And God, we trust in you. We trust in you to guide us. We trust in you to do great things beyond what we could do on our own. Oh God, we pray that you be glorified in all that's said and done, and that your light shine in this place and through us into those in our town. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Tonight we have one presentation. This is a presentation and proclamation honoring March as Kidney Cancer Association Month with Dr. Ahmad Kabani in Macon-Bibb County. And Commissioner Howell will do that proclamation tonight.
So before I do the proclamation, I just want to say a personal note here. A lot of you guys know that in 2017, my brother was a deputy sheriff in Bibb County and was in an accident while on duty. Subsequent to that wreck, they did some tests and found out that he had kidney cancer, terminal kidney cancer. Thankfully, 6 years later, he's still with us. So God's answered prayer, and some of that in part is because of the Kidney Foundation and some of the research that goes on every day to help people with kidney cancer. So with that, have a proclamation. The Office of the Mayor, Macon-Bibb County, Georgia. Whereas in the United States, nearly 600,000 people live with kidney cancer, and 54,240 Georgians are newly diagnosed with cancer each year. Men are 25.9% more likely to be diagnosed with cancer than women, and whereas the Kidney Cancer Association, founded in 1990, is a Houston-based global community dedicated to servicing and empowering patients and caregivers and leading change through advocacy, research, and education in order to be the universal leader in finding a cure for kidney cancer. And whereas, following its mission, the Kidney Cancer Association promotes scientific advances through 2 annual research symposia and a robust grant program, participates in legislative advocacy, and seeks to be a source of education and resources for patients, caregivers, and anyone impacted by kidney cancer. And whereas orange is the national kidney cancer color, and the Kidney Cancer Association encourages everyone to #OrangeUp during Kidney Cancer Awareness Month and highlight the collective efforts of patients, families, and everyone who advocates for the move the needle in kidney cancer. And whereas the World Kidney Day Joint Steering Committee has declared 2024 to be the year of the kidney health for all, advancing equality access to care and optimize the medication practice, I now therefore, Lester Miller, do hereby proclaim March 24 as Kidney Cancer Association Month in Macon-Bibb County and urge all citizens to commend the Kidney Cancer Association in its commitment in providing patient support, encouraging research advancements, and honoring those impacted by kidney cancer. And I'd like to present this to you guys for all that you do.
Take a picture as well. Doctor, thank you for being here tonight and taking time out of your schedule for this proclamation. This time we'll move on to item 5A, which is the approval of the minutes. This is the approval of the minutes from the March 5th, 2024 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Got a motion by Commissioner Bronson. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Lucas. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. That sounds like a female. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries. We don't have any public comments on agenda items. We do have some non-agenda items, and we'll get to that in just a moment. We have items on the consent agenda, and if you want something removed, now's the time to let me know which one you want to be removed. Otherwise, we'll take them as a whole. Commissioner Lucas?
Vote separately so that I can cast a no vote on those. Those are the ones denying the installation of lights in 3 different areas, so N, O, and P.
I think for clarification, the items N and O were tabled. Item P was a no vote, so we'll move that at the proper time.
Whatever.
Mr. Bronson, you have something, sir?
Sir, Section 4, paragraph B.
On our consent agenda, can you tell me which one that is, sir?
Alcohol beverage for Shirley Drive Mart, Food Mart.
That would be item C, okay. At this time, we entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through R, with the exception of item C, we will vote separately. Item N and O are tabled, and item P will vote separately. So this time, entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with those exceptions. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Carter. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Item C was a 2023 LLC DBA Shirley Food Mart located at 2904 Shirley Drive. This passed by a vote 7 to 1 earlier in favor of passing. This is an alcohol beverage license that met all the legal and statutory reasons, including a good standing letter and legal recommended approval. At this time, I'd make a motion to approve. Do we get a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
That motion carries. Thank you very much. Item P is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission accepting a recommendation for facilities management to deny the request for installation of additional lights at Barrington Hall pursuant to Article 10 of Chapter 29 of Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances. Earlier that passed as well as far as following the recommendation, and Commissioner Jones wanted to make clear that we would deny that and send a letter to the association letting know what the denial was for. So if they'd like to move forward after that, they could do that. Mr. Jones, did you have something further to add, sir?
I think you covered it, that if they'll be responsible for the polls, then we've got a good chance of bringing it back and getting it done.
That's correct, sir. So this time, I take that as, I'll make a motion to uphold the recommendation. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
That motion carries. Thank you very much. At this time, we do have a couple of comments for public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have a Miss Sarah Nichols here tonight? Miss Nichols not here. She filed a request online, but it did not say the topic of that, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. We have Mr. Donald Reed. Mr. Reed, thank you for being here with us tonight, sir. If you don't mind going up to that podium, take your time. You have up to 5 minutes to speak, and your time will begin once you get there and begin to talk, sir.
They don't have the polls.
I'll get, okay.
They need to do their homeowners.
Sorry. She did have something.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm here to speak as a concerned citizen on what the guidelines are for posting information relevant for public consumption in the recreation centers around Bibb County and probably other locations. Approximately 7 months ago, I'm a consistent user of the facilities. I noticed a poster going up that was entitled Reproductive Health. In my estimation, reproductive health concerns things other than counseling for aborted fetuses. It concerns other things other than financing transportation to people that want to go and have an abortion. In my estimation, it also includes nutritional health, economics. How do you do a household budget? What are the dietary concerns for a pregnant female? When I inquired about it, no one could give me an answer. But it appears that public dollars are going to a number of agencies that were listed on that folder, on that poster. My biggest concern and feeling of disgust was it was in the Rosa Jackson Recreation Center. With all of those young people, with all of the problems we're having with kids and their attitudes and dispositions about just simple things, life skills, what is the message you're actually sending? Now, for no one to be able to answer that question when I inquired about it, and it goes beyond public officials. It also includes people that live in that community. And when I say in that community, I'm talking about the churches and religious organizations. What is the message that's going to those young kids going in and walking right past? And I even sent out pictures of that poster. thinking I would get a response, and I did. But it wasn't from the people I expected to get it from, because I sent it to public officials, I sent it to ministers, I sent it to deacons. And yeah, my level of disgust rose because I spent my career working with at-risk kids. And I understand what type of influence and the psychological and subliminal message something like that sends to our children, especially in a public recreational facility. Can anyone in here tell me why there are no guidelines, or why, when I call city representatives, no one can tell me anything about it? I can answer it for you, because there aren't any guidelines. It also tells me that even though we have administrators, all of the administrators aren't doing their jobs and going out to the communities to look and see what's actually going on in those communities, in those facilities. So I leave the floor open to you all. What can be done about it, and when?
Ms. Reed, thank you for being here tonight. This is a conversation that you can have to the commissioners. It's not one that we have an interchange back and forth. I will say this is the first time that I've gotten notice of that, and if you wouldn't mind, send that to me so I can see what you're talking about, so we know how to address that, and I'll give you my email before you leave, sir. Tonight we have one other person that asked to speak, Mr. L.B. Riddick. L.B. Riddick. Thank you for being here tonight, sir, and I think you wanted to talk about a variety of issues, including Macon-Bibb County Recreation Department. Is this the same issue or something different? Maybe security or something?
Well, it's a different issue.
Okay.
We had a meeting March 11th, 2024, with the representatives of Macon-Bibb County Rec. They met at Dolores A. Brooks facility at 6 o'clock. They wanted to know what is on our minds and what the things that we can suggest to make that center better. And several things came up. They had a representative there from Macon-Bibb and Rec, James Bell. So we all showed up. And that's about 5 things that the group came up with the interaction with Mr. Bell. The first thing was insufficient lighting. When you walk out there, especially in the wintertime, it's pitch black dark. Staff has got to escort the women to their vehicles because they are afraid that they don't know if something is lurking out there that may injure them or create a misfortune for them. The second thing that came up is that they wanted to get more kids involved in after-school programs. They have a van there. It stays parked. 99% of the time it's not being moved. The Dolores A. Brooks Center is in an isolated type area. You don't have any sidewalks. These kids can't walk in the community because they stay far away. And they would like to know, can that van be utilized and set up a schedule to pick up these kids at a designated drop-off point and bring them back to that same point so that their parents can pick them up. That would increase children participation. It's virtually no kids coming there. It's an adopted center. Now, they have transportation, but people in the adjoining neighborhoods and apartment complexes,
you got to walk across Jeffersonville Road. That's not gonna happen. You got to come up to the four-way stop. That ain't gonna happen. And people coming off that hill flying, that's the issue, safety issue. Another issue that came up was that center has a lot of showers in it. A lot of showers. Cold water. There's no hot water that comes out of those showers. They are not being utilized. And they're just there. They're adjacent to the pool. They have a pool entrance that comes to the showers. No hot water. After our activity there, they are very concerned since you don't have a gate and it's not, one could be put there and locked once the last staff member comes out. But you got people coming up in that place all times of night. I don't know what their activities are and what they're rendezvousing for. I really don't care because I'm not there. It's after hours. They go down, parking lot, go behind the building, and God forbid, whatever is going on. It seems like there's not a police presence there to discourage this. Or better yet, put a camera up like they got in these school zones. When I go 5 miles over the school zone in Northeast, they got my tag number. Somebody's gonna get killed or maimed back there fooling around after hours. And this is all night long. And we need additional fitness machines in the weight room to be determined by the staff. A lot of the times, I go there 5, 6 days a week. And you have to wait for people to get off of a machine. Time is money for me. Man, my time is very valuable. I want to get in and I want to get out. But I have to wait until somebody comes off a machine in order to use a machine. It's not enough machines available. You basically have one of each. And with the exception of the second treadmill they just got, they do have 2 treadmills, but everything else, it's one of each. You have to wait your turn. So if you got things that you have to do, it increases your time there and for you to complete what you are there to do. And the last thing that they talked about is they want to know a timetable when some of these items will be addressed. But the number one concern is that darkness out there in front of that building. Now, you don't see it now because of the time change. Days are longer. Winter months, it's black dark. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reddick. And we made notes of those 5 things. We'll follow up with the director there. I'm not sure who you spoke with to see if we can get those issues addressed. I believe that concludes all the people that signed up to speak tonight. I don't have any more sheets here tonight for people that have signed up. And I don't see any hands, so I'll assume that's correct. Anything with good Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Clark you want to say?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I just would be remiss if we went through the night without a round of gratitude for some folks in your administration, namely Alex Morrison and Tanja Kabir, who he's been working with on a Reconnecting Communities grant for the Pleasant Hill neighborhood. They've been working closely with the Pleasant Hill Neighborhood Organization. I helped with that as well. But it was announced last week that Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock were able to support the securing of $500,000 in planning around reconnecting Pleasant Hill with downtown due to being divided up from the interstate. It is a project that was in the bipartisan infrastructure bill that is set up for historic black communities that have been hurt by federal roads projects during the Jim Crow era. And that planning process that grant was denied, but due to the consistency and the persistency from folks in the administration and in the neighborhood, they were able to reapply and get it. So thank you to everyone involved and congratulations. And I look forward to what that grant yields. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Commissioner Howell?
Yeah, it looks like it's a brag on the administration this week. I, with other commissioners, was out at the amphitheater for our soft opening, and I remember when we were all gathered there in a field a couple years ago and heard the proposal about the amphitheater and kind of rolled our eyes and go, yeah, right. Congratulations, Mayor. I think it's a success. I know it's a success, and I look forward to the real opening and all that it brings for our community. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Howell. I will echo both sentiments, and certainly it's been a team effort over the last couple of years to get that item as well as others done. Also, Mayor Pro Tem Clark, I appreciate your leadership as well on the project in Pleasant Hill. I had opportunities personally to speak to Senators Ossoff and Warnock over a period of time, but for all the late night calls and the contacts that you made there, that project wouldn't have happened as well. So it takes a lot of people working together, and I appreciate all the commissioners being a part of that. We have another several days left in the Cherry Blossom. This is Cherry Blossom Festival Week, and I know Stacey Moore would appreciate all of you digging into your pockets and going there and spending some money downtown and supporting all of our local businesses here. We have had a little weather, so we'll make up for that toward the end of the week. And this will conclude our meeting, if there's no further items that need to be discussed, until our April the 2nd meeting. Thank you.